Hi, Miss Bailey. This is my 5th attempt at this. We just recorded a 30-minute long video, and then the sound was off. So this is going to be shorter, and hopefully you can hear me. So, in order to, it seems like if I start at the beginning of this myth, according to the textbook, it tends to go on for a while. So I'm hoping it's okay if I start near chapter 2, which is where they actually get back to Iaclus. So that's where I'm going to start. And then I'm going to pull from the plays by Euripides and Seneca in order, once they actually get back to Corinth. So this myth starts after Jason and the Golden Fleece, after Medea and Jason have fled her father's kingdom, and they've found themselves back in Iaclus, where Pelias is still king, and Hera is still seeking revenge for getting to make a sacrifice to her. And so Hera utilizes Medea in order to act out this revenge. So Medea, disguising herself as a priestess of Artemis, enters Pelias' castle and tells him that he's looking a little old. But she knows the secret to youth, and she demonstrates this after he's slightly skeptical. And so she shows him her powers by getting this cauldron together. It's very witchy. Putting all the herbs and things in it, doing a little chanting, and taking a ram, slightly elderly ram, and putting him in a deep sleep and then dismembering him, as seems to be a very popular choice throughout these myths. And then putting his body parts into the cauldron, and after a few minutes they cook nicely, and out pops a baby lamb. So Pelias is, in awe of this and is super pumped because that means that he can have his youth back. That this chick wasn't lying. She can actually do this for him. The only thing, I guess, is that he'd have to be dismembered, but I guess for Pelias this isn't a real issue. And he actually enlists the help of his daughters in order to do this, who are a little hesitant and take some convincing. But eventually, Dad's like, well, if you love me, you'll do this. And so what are you going to do? So, despite the fact that they agree to do this, they're still really horrified by it. And so after Medea puts him to sleep, and basically hands the knife to his daughters and says, all right, get to it. They close their eyes while they're doing it. They chop him up basically blindly, which I think is pretty dangerous. You're wielding a knife while you're, walking around with your eyes closed. But apparently it works. They chop him up without any harm to any of them. Just, their dad, I guess, that they chop up in little tiny pieces. And they put his body parts, still with their eyes closed, into the pot. And so the fact that all these girls have kept their eyes closed the entire time was pretty convenient for Medea. I'm not really sure how she would have done this if they had been really gung-ho about cutting up their dad. They would have been like, I want to see every single second of this. I'm not really sure what Medea would have done. But this is the way it happens, and I guess that's how myth goes. It's very convenient, Medea slips out of the castle, and so by the time the girls have chopped him up, put his body parts in the cauldron, and just sort of waiting for something to happen, then nothing happens. And they open their eyes, and they got their dead dad in this cauldron, basically dad stew. And Medea, is nowhere to be seen. So that's how Hera takes her revenge. And so then after the death of Pelias, his son Castus, who was pretty good friends with Jason and doesn't really want to punish him by killing him, so he only he takes up his dad's throne and then he just exiles them. You know, he's like, I guess, you know, okay, I'll just exile you. That's like not the worst thing that could possibly happen. So that's how Jason and Medea find their way to Corinth, and that is where Euripides and Seneca begin their stories, which is with Jason and Medea have a fairly happy marriage, it seems. They have 2 sons, and they've been together for a while, it seems, long enough for Medea to start showing some signs of age. And I guess Jason is magically, you know, not getting older, I guess. I don't know. There's just a double standard here. So obviously the fact that Medea is a woman and she's getting older is, you know, awful and the worst thing that could possibly happen. And so Jason's eyes start to wander, and they wander to the Princess of Corinth, where they are currently exiled, the kingdom where they're currently living in. And her name is Glauce, I'm not really sure. Glock, I don't know. Glauce. Glauce?
Glauce.
I don't know.
Glauce.
We don't know.
Glauc.
I'm just gonna call her Princess from now on.
Princess G.
Princess. No, it's Princess. Yeah, it is Princess G. Okay. All right. So Jason is like, wow, this new chick. She's awesome. She's young. She's hot. Medea's kind of old. You know, I guess slightly wrinkly, and you know she's been around for a while. So she's nothing new, basically. She's not new and exciting the way that this princess is. And she's also not a princess the way that this princess is. So that is a big deal. Jason, who still hasn't managed to, you know, reclaim the kingdom that he sought out to, you know, is really into finally being a part of a royal family, you know, and if he marries this chick, he'll basically be guaranteed kingship, you know, once her dad dies. So he goes to her dad, says, you know, I'd love to marry your daughter. By the way, I'm Jason. I did all this cool stuff. So if you need any incentive for this. And the king is all for it. He's like, this is awesome. I've been looking for a husband for my daughter. And you seem to be a cool guy. And Jason's like, well, you know, there's one issue. I'm already married. And the king is like, well, yeah, this doesn't really matter. You know, she's a foreigner here. I mean, I guess Jason is technically a foreigner too. But the thing about Medea is that she did the crime of not being born Greek, or at least the Hellenic Greek, which means that she was essentially a barbarian savage. Even though they had their own independent kingdom and they were all fairly, you know, well off and not stupid. You know, they managed to run this kingdom for years and years. So it's not like they were any less, you know, equipped to handle things, I guess. But yeah, so she was written off as being barbarian, and obviously if you're married to a barbarian, that doesn't count, right? Not in the eyes of law, not in the eyes of gods. So it was pretty easy for Jason to be like, okay, if you say so, and he leaves Medea and their 2 kids. And so Medea is pretty pissed about this. At first she's just really sad, and she's pretty depressed, and she stays in the house all day just crying. She's got the nurse, one of her slaves, who's probably, I guess, would be the equivalent of like her #1 handmaiden, I guess, is you know, worries about her and is pretty upset. She's also pretty worried about what Medea might do in terms of exacting some kind of revenge. She seems to be having a lot of emotion building up, and this emotion seems like it's going to just pop the top, you know, off the bottle at some point. You know, the volcano is going to burst. And as she says, you know, let's just hope that it will be, you know, she'll be exerting all of this energy onto a enemy and not a friend. So, fingers crossed. So, Medea eventually, with the help of her friends, you know, who sit outside her house and is like, come on, Medea.
Girl,
you know, men are assholes. So they do this, it says men are, buttholes, and they do this all the time. And so you just gotta brush your shoulders off and move on with your life, because men are dumb. Which I think is true. So Medea's like, eventually she comes out, she's like, thanks for trying to get me out here, she's like, I'm not really sad anymore, I'm just really pissed off, and I'm pissed off on behalf of basically every woman, because we really do have the worst lot in life. And men talk about how bad they have it, the fact that they have to go off to war and stuff, but I'd rather stand in 100 battles over than give birth to a child. So I think that's a pretty intense statement. That's definitely not something that you hear all the time. I mean, rarely do you hear a woman speaking in public, let alone a woman speaking about how awful men are. And, maybe we should be treated with a little more respect. And so this is when everyone's kind of like, okay, Medea seems like she's sort of entering towards some kind of violence, maybe, some kind of real retribution, as opposed to just crying all the time. And seems like all these emotions are starting to develop into actions, maybe. And so people are worried about this, including the king, Creon. So he comes and visits her, and basically, I'm a little scared of you, and you're a little worrisome, and I'm gonna have to exile you and your sons, because I can't trust you here. I don't know what you're gonna do. Maybe you'll kill us all in our sleep, right? So I just can't trust you. And Medea's like, me? You can't trust me? I'm just a woman. Why would I even hurt you anyway? I'm mad at Jason. And Creon's like, that's not really comforting. I'm gonna have to exile you. I'm sorry. And Medea's like, okay, that's fine. You're right. You can exile. And so Medea is like, okay, I'll be exiled. You're the king. You're the boss. But I do have one request, which is that you will give me at least a day to get prepared for this. My sons are going to be, basically you're taking their sons away from their father and from the home that they've known all their lives. Just give us a day to get our affairs in order. At the very least, maybe we can find somewhere that we can go, so you're not just kicking us out into the desert to die. And Creon is like, okay, I know that I'm going to regret this, but okay, you can have one day. So then Creon goes back. Medea, this is when Medea is like, alright, I've got one day. I can come up with something in one day. I can do something in one day that would hurt Jason. And so this is when she starts concocting her plan, and she starts going over these things in her mind, like, okay, what could I potentially do? I could sneak into the castle, I could stab them in their bellies while they're in bed, but that would also probably lead to me being killed, and I'd rather not do that. And people just think that I was crazy, So I want to do something that'll hurt them, but I want to do it smartly. I want to do it in a smart way. And she's also at this point, this is when we get the first sort of like hints that she's not, she's not crazy. But this is when she starts thinking about whether or not, what can I do to hurt Jason the most? His children. I can do something to his children. And they're her children too, but it seems like her hatred for Jason seems to overshadow her love for her children. So this is when she starts thinking, alright, I might have to kill my kids. Maybe. We'll see. Because I'm still a mom, but I also really need to do something here. Okay, so this is when Jason shows up with, no apology, but an offer of aid, I guess, and says, I'm not going to apologize, but here's some money, I don't want to kick you out without any money, He's like, I can give you the phone numbers of some friends that you can call, and they might let you crash on their couch for a while. And Medea is pretty insulted by this, which I think is understandable. It says, you just ruined my entire life, and now you're offering me money. Like, you're basically paying me off here. And Jason is like, I did this for us. I got married so that my kids would have like a real nice upbringing. I want to be able to provide for them, and this is this is security that I'm buying for them. You know, this is like real power and money that I'm getting for our family. You know, and you should be grateful, right? You should be a lot more understanding. Like, I get that maybe you're a little jealous, but you know, just come on. I did this for us. Medea's not really having any of that. And she basically lists off all the ways that she helped Jason throughout the years, which was a lot. She saved him, saved his life like a dozen times over. And he just sort of like, that's debatable. It's not. But for him it was.
She gave up everything for him.
She gave up everything. She left her home. She betrayed her father. She killed her brother. She gave up everything to come be with him. And he broke their vows. So she's not really interested in whatever. Yeah, shoot at that. She's not really interested in whatever half-assed apologies that he's come up with. And she's basically, I'm done with you. And she kicks him out. She grabs him by the hand and takes him outside. You know, which I would too. You know, if my ex-husband came up to me and was like, women are the worst thing to ever happen in the world, I wish there was another way for us to procreate, which he says, yeah, I'd kick him out too. So, it's understandable. So, Medea is even angrier at this point, obviously. I'm going to try to make this shorter. And so she's like, all right, what can I do? What can I do? I got a day. I definitely need to do something now because he's really pissed me off now. I can't believe he had the balls to come up here and try to, you know, I can't believe he tried to step to me. Like, I am just so upset about this. And conveniently enough, at this point, we've got the king of Athens, who is apparently an old friend of hers, Agus, like Angus, but not, who shows up and is like, hey girl, you looking real down. Like, you look, yeah, like your bags. Wrong? Yeah, you got some bags under your eyes, you know. You also look like you're about to, you know, kill a man. So, what happened? And so she tells him, I have the worst husband in the world. He should be shot. You know, they should throw him, you know, they should feed him to the dogs, basically. And Agus is very sympathetic to her. Says, you know, is there anything that I can do? And, you know, Medea's like, there is. You know, I've been exiled. So, you know, if you could let me come and crash at your place for a while, that would be awesome. Also, if you could offer me some protection and make sure that you would defend me in case anyone tried to come get me, you know, then that would also be great. Because I think in her head, she already knew that she was about to do some messed up stuff. And people would probably be after her, maybe. And so, and he's like, well, okay. And Agus apparently also confided to her that he hadn't had any children yet. He was married, you know, they tried, but it seems as though he was sterile, which I think is really interesting, that the blame seems to be that he's sterile, and it seems to be they understand that the problem lies with him and not the wife. Because more often than not, you see the wife being blamed for a childless marriage. So I think that was interesting. And Medea's like, dude, I can fix that. I'm a witch. I can do all kinds of crap, you know, voodoo stuff. So he's like, awesome. So they come up with this plan. They promise to help each other out. And Agus goes off. He goes back home after saying, well, you know, I can't take you with me, but you just find your way to me eventually, and I'll protect you there. And Medea's like, that's cool. So this is when Medea's like, all right, I got an escape route. I've got one day to do this. You know, shit's about to happen. And so Medea comes up with this plan. She's like, all right, I've got this spare clothing that I was gifted by my uncle. I think it was Helios something. Gift, he read the chariot. He's a god. And this super cool dress and this tiara. It's like antique, it's vintage. All right. And it's real expensive. And it's really nice. So she's like, this is perfect. Sort of like a Trojan horse kind of thing. She's like, poison is my thing. I could go stab these people with poison is what I'm really good at, so I gotta work with the skills that I have. And so she's like, all right, go with this poison. She douses, she soaks the clothes in them. And then she calls up Jason. Jason comes back and he's like, Jason, you were right all along. I'm so sorry. I should have understood. You were doing this for us.
A man has needs.
A man has needs. And obviously, I wasn't providing them. And so I just wanted to apologize. And as a token of my affection and gratitude to you and your new wife, I want you to give her these clothing. That's not suspicious at all, apparently. So I just really want you to give her these. And also, while you're there, if you could convince her to take our kids, potentially, because I'm just really worried about taking them into exile with me. And they deserve a home. And they deserve an upbringing that I just can't give them at this point. Because I understand why you have to exile me, but don't punish the kids. So Jason's like, okay, I could probably convince them to take the kids. Apology accepted. Right? What a cool chick. So glad that Medea's like finally on board with this, right? I'm totally not worried about anything, This is not weird that she seemed to have like a personality change. This all happens within a day. And so it's totally not weird that this happened, like she just flipped her switch. Not suspicious at all, apparently. So Jason takes his kids back to the palace and with the poison clothes in tow. And so arriving at the palace, these clothes are gifted to the Princess G. And she is a little kind of like, I don't know if I'm into this. It's your ex-wife. I feel a little weird. Jason's like, but she's being very sincere. And she's tried to extend a palm. Is it a palm? What is it called? Extend. There's something to do with palm leaves. I'm not sure. Anyway, she's trying to extend her hand here, and, make an offer, make an apology. And so the wife is like, Princess G is like, okay, cool, whatever. So she puts on these clothes, because I think also she's probably like, okay, these are really nice clothes, so I'm gonna be stupid to just refuse them offhand. So she puts on the clothes, and she's like, oh my god, these are amazing! And she starts, like, dancing in her room, and she's like, woo, twirling around and stuff, and everyone's like, oh, so pretty, Princess G! And then she starts to foam at the mouth. And I think it says that they thought that she was having a fit that was brought on, by, some demigod or whatever. So initially, they were excited. They were like, oh, she's been touched by the gods. Oh. And they were like, oh, yay! And then they were like, wait, she's dying. Something awful is happening to her. Her flesh is melting off. She's burning. She's caught on fire, although there wasn't fire as far as I could tell. It was like molten lava, it seemed like. It was just burning her from the inside out. So her flesh is melting, there's blood everywhere. And everyone's just kind of sitting there horrified. And her dad comes in, and he's equally horrified. And he's like, oh my god. So he runs to her, and he tries to smother the flames, or whatever it is that's burning her. And it's not working. And so he's like holding her in his arms, and then he gets poisoned too. And so the same thing starts happening to him, and they just die in each other's arms. Really awful and tragic and frightening, terrifying, and awful. Okay. So we got one of Jason's servants who witnessed this, and he raced back to Medea's house and to tell her the news. And Medea, who's just been waiting to hear this news, is like, okay, what happened? Tell me what happened. And the servant's like, something awful, horrible happened. And it was the most horrific, disturbing thing that I'd ever seen. But she was like, yes, so excited. She was just so glad. She was like, this is the best thing. This is the best news that I've had all week, to be honest. This like lifts my spirits. Suddenly, I could run a marathon. And the servant is like, okay, I mean, this is weird. I don't know why you're so happy. Medea's like, and so then we got, let's see, I think it was, her kids come back, her 2 sons, who don't really understand exactly what's happening. I don't know that they ever get any kind of speaking parts in this mess whatsoever. So they come back, and Medea's like, alright, the plan's in place. I guess I gotta do this. I gotta kill my kids. I've sort of, oh gosh, I gotta, I've accepted my fate here. I've been able to come to terms with this to an extent. Although she sort of argues with herself at this point. Do I need to do this? I love them so much, I could just take them with me. But she's like, but then, would Jason really be hurt as much as I want him to hurt? She's like, all right, I just gotta do it. You just gotta rip the Band-Aid off. Just gotta stab my kids. And so she takes him into the house, and the chorus, who is sort of like observers, I guess, typically in these plays and stuff, they're standing outside, and they can hear the kids screaming for help. And they're just like, oh, should we go in? I don't know. I don't know if we should. She's a little crazy. And the kids are like, yes, please, come help us. We're dying. And the chorus is like, oh, I don't know what to do. And so the kids just die. And Jason shows up, and he's pretty like livid. He's like, okay, what just happened? My bride and my father-in-law are dead. Apparently, I'm pretty certain this is Medea's fault. So please let me in the house. The doors have been barred on the house, and so he's like pushing on the doors, trying to break them down. The chorus is like, your kids are dead. Sorry. And of course this makes Jason even angrier, right? And so then Medea eventually comes out of the house, and she gets into a chariot that was conveniently waiting for her outside. A chariot driven by dragons. This is what happens when you have connections with the gods, apparently. You get carried around on chariots driven by dragons. She's got her dead kids in the chariot. And it's basically like, sucks to be you, Jason. How do you think I felt? Here are your dead kids. Did you see your dead wife? Your dead father-in-law? That was me. And Jason basically curses her and says that, well, the gods will punish you for this. And Medea's kind of like, I feel like not. I feel like they probably won't. I feel like in terms of morality, you've been pretty much an asshole, and the gods know that. Why do you think they helped me out? I managed to do all this without a hitch, So you think that if they really were on your side, they, would have saved your wife, your father-in-law, or your children, your kids. You'd think they would have saved your kids, but they didn't. And so, let's see. So Medea is basically like, you're going to die an awful death, sad and alone. And I'm the one who orchestrated that. So I just want you to feel the pain that I felt. You ruined my life, and so I ruined yours. You took away everything that I loved, and I took away everything that you loved.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, here's just, I know it's a retelling, but I want to quote from the textbook. It says, before that day comes, Jason, may you gain wisdom through suffering. May you learn that no mortal knows what the new day will bring. Some find themselves raised up, others find themselves brought low. If they are wise, mortals will expect the unexpected. For no one who walks the earth can presume to know the will of the deathless gods, and it is they who rule the earth on which mortals live, as well as the world above and the world below. It says, Jason, our sons will ride with me in this chariot that grandfather, shining Helios, I did get that right, has sent down to me in order to protect me from my enemies. I will bury our sons, and then I will go forth to Athens, for there King Agis will welcome me and give me refuge. And then Jason, like, shaking his fist at her as she flies away. It's like, Corinth is well rid of you, Medea. Bury my sons and find refuge in Athens if you can. But as you fly through the heavens, discover what I now know. Those who walk the earth bear the heavy yoke of suffering, but the deathless gods are not to blame, for there are no gods. So I think that was interesting to me, because I guess Euripides is sometimes said that he's an atheist. But you obviously have like the gods interacting in this play, so it seemed really strange that he would say that. Anyway, hey Daphne.
Yeah.
Let me get the. Where's the notebook? Okay. So Daphne did a couple of illustrations for me while I was reading to her. One of the other times that I was trying to record this. And
okay, so the first one.
So we've got Medea.
No, Medea's dad.
We've got
the king.
Medea's dad.
He's
this
angry
is when he was super
because
angry.
He betrayed her.
Yep.
She betrayed him.
She betrayed him. And this is Jason with the golden fleece, which is a fleece jacket in this interpretation. I think that counts as a modern retelling, right? Let's see. We're going in order.
This is Medea with her pot.
This is Medea. I think that this is good. This is probably Medea whenever she was trying to convince Pelias to let her cut him up, you know. So that's her little double toil and trouble pot. Very Shakespearean. Very. Who was it? Not Hamlet. It was Macbeth, right? This is her finding out, you know, that her husband is a cheating bastard. She's very sad at this point, you know, calling out his name. And then we've got, this is when she's less sad and more pissed off. And this is probably when Jason comes back to her house. And it's like, oh, I can help you out. You know, it's the least I could do. And she's like, Jason, are you kidding me? That's her hands up in the air, just in disbelief that this dude is even trying this. Right. And so this is, so then we've got Medea offering,
Oops.
Oh no, I hate it when it gets stuck. Offering, you know, these gifts, you know, complete sincerity, no ulterior motives there, offering those gifts. And then we've got, wait, no.
A new one.
Oh, wait, this is a new one that I haven't seen yet. Alright, so then we've got Princess G, dying. I think that is terrifying, and I'm gonna have nightmares from that. Thank you, Daphne. And this is Medea riding off into the sunset on a dragon, not even a chariot. She doesn't need a chariot. She'll just ride the freaking dragon.
Shrugging.
Like, well, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? YOLO!
YOLO Jason.
YOLO Jason. Okay, so that's it. Hopefully this one worked this time. Anyway, so I hope this was okay, Miss Bailey. And this is Daphne. She helped me out. So, bye!